So today's talk is based on, it's the last of a series of talks I've been doing on a book entitled The 10 Commitments. And it's a take off of the 10 Commandments, where the author, David Simon, who's an MD, and he's a part of the Deepak Chopra organization, he looks at the commandments as an outer word coming to us, telling us what to do. It's coming as a command. You must do this or you shall, go wherever you're going, to hell. You're gonna, or maybe you're gonna go to heaven if you follow these rules. And it's not very empowering, actually. So he changes each of the commandments into commitments, which is an inner power. I'm making the choice to commit to something. So this is the last one of our series, and today's commandment that is being transformed into a commitment is, honor thy father and thy mother, in order that thy days be prolonged upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Exodus 20:12. So, what does David Simon turn that into? He calls it, I commit to wholeness. Now, I went, anyone wonder how you go from honor thy mother and father to I commit to wholeness? Anybody besides me? Yeah, okay, good. I thought you probably all got it, and I didn't. No. So what he does is he starts off the chapter, and it's entitled, I Commit to Wholeness. His idea is that spirituality calls us to reconcile opposite values, and there is no fundamental duality than masculine and feminine energy. That's interesting. The fifth commandment honors the essence of mother and father by embracing wholeness, the feminine and masculine power that resides in each and every one of us. We each have masculine and feminine energy within us. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. He goes on to say, Western society is slowly recognizing that there is a spectrum of masculinity and femininity, in which we all fall. I happen to run more masculine energy. I tend to be more in the 60 to 70% more of the masculine. I will share more what that is. And you can have different aspects when you're running feminine energy or masculine energy. He says, embracing the power inherent in our masculine and feminine sides enables us to be whole and powerful. Isn't that very good? So our feminine and masculine aspects actually show up in many ways. But David Simon goes into three separate times in our life, and he talks about, first of all, the masculine and feminine can show up in your inner child, the inner child within us, which reflects our innocence, enthusiasm, and vulnerability. Okay, we're going to go deeper into what this is, so just stay with me here. And then we have the inner adult, which is reflecting responsibility, discipline, and confidence. And then the third stage of our masculine and feminine energy aspects, power, is in our inner sage, our wise inner sage, which demonstrates and is a reflection of the wisdom and the experience and the guidance of each and every one of us. So now the question is, how do these aspects of ourselves actually connect to health and wholeness? Doesn't that become the question? I mean, we're talking wholeness and healthfulness, and we got these aspects. My definition of healing: bringing back together that which is experiencing any sense of separation. Let's say that again. Bringing back together that which is experiencing any sense of separation. Sense of separation is an SOS. It's a call, that there is a sense of separation in some form. The process of bringing together aspects of oneself, the body, mind, and spirit, leading towards integration, balance, and wholeness. So bringing back together anything that feels separated or appears to be separated to make whole again. So now we're going to talk about wholeness. Wholeness, the definition is containing all of the components, the completeness, with nothing missing. Second definition is not divided or disjointed, in one unit, indivisible, and one. It's the summation of all the parts is what wholeness is. So, some examples. Healing. Healing is bringing back together anything that is separated from its original healthy space. When you get a cut on your hand, it needs to come back together to be healed. When any one of your organs in your body, or you break a leg, anything that is calling forth healing is that there is something that has been separated and needs to come back into its original healthful form. So there's the physical aspect. Then there's the mental and the healing in our minds. Three aspects of healing in our minds is bringing back our innocence that we may have lost. And I will talk more about our inner child and the pure selves of our inner child. We may be separated from that playful self. Then there's bringing us back into the truly love-based thinking instead of fear-based thinking. Not getting caught up in the world of fear and doubt and worry, which pulls us away from truth. We want to be centered and bring ourselves back to truth, because otherwise we're disjointed. We're caught up in something that isn't really the truth of us, which is we are divine beings, that we have power. We're not victims unless we choose to be. And the third part is the wise sage. It brings us back to that part that each one of us has is an inner sage, which is the part of us, no matter what our age is, that is wisdom, that is guidance, that is experience. We can tap into a deeper part of us. I call it the God parent or the God self that lives within us, that we can tap into it. The third place of separation, because we've got our physical, our mental with our mind, and then bringing us into spiritual. When we feel separated from the divine, there needs to be a healing and coming back together. We're spiritual beings having human experience, not the other way around. We're not human beings having spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings, period, in this human form. So we want to bring ourselves back, remember, to the wholeness, the healing any place where we feel separated from who we really are. And we teach in unity that God is everything and everyone. And I'm a God being, and so are you. We're not higher or lower. Jesus even said, "Know ye not ye are gods." We are God beings. And to embrace that, committing to our wholeness means that we are healed or made whole as we learn about and integrate our masculine and feminine power as the inner child, as the inner adult, and as the inner sage. Does any of this make any sense to you? Some of you, maybe? Sort of? Yes? It could be, yeah. So, yeah, this was an interesting chapter to put together. And even Bill said, this is an interesting chapter. He didn't read the chapter, but when I told him the theme of it, he's like, finding songs that fit it. But you did excellent. So we're going to talk a little bit about the masculine and the feminine to begin with, and then the integration of the inner child, the inner adult, and the sage, and talk about how that wraps itself all together. So the masculine part of me and of each one of us is that part of us that is determined, has goals, is directed, is focused. Sometimes I'm not focused and I have to go, okay, I need to bring my masculine, which is also called the warrior, to come in and be focused, because my feminine is kind of all over the place. and so it's about confidence and determination, being goal-oriented, and disciplined and responsible. That's the healthy part of our masculine energy, which each of us has. The unhealthy expression of the masculine in front of me is the part of me that is oppressive or inflexible or stubborn or exploitive of others. Okay? So when I'm directed and focused and taking action, the way of the warrior is the way of action. The feminine, also known as the wizard, is the way of attraction. I like that. The masculine is the way of action, and the feminine is the way of attraction. The feminine nature within each of us is that creativeness, the part of us that gets outside of the box. Again, the masculine is directed. The feminine is flowing, is flexible, is in touch with the seasons and the cycles of life, and is that creative energy that calls itself forward. It can be gentle and nurturing, or it can be like a bear, fiercely protective, right? The energy of the female can be supportive, and it can also be destructive. Okay? If you know anything about the Hindu religions and the different gods and goddesses, there's Kali, who destroys. But you know, everything has to sometimes be destroyed, taken apart. So we have that part that wants to take it apart and start again. Then we have the female, who can be encouraging or extremely critical. Okay? So maybe you can see that as well. So now we've got a little snapshot of our masculine and feminine, and it's kind of helpful to know when we are in which mode. My friend Sandy used to say things like, "I'm such an airhead." And I said, you could reframe that to say you're just in your feminine, because I used to work as a substitute teacher, and when I was a substitute teacher, all I did was direct, okay? Got to give directions and give people what they need, all these kids, what to do. When I would leave my substitute teaching job, I would go in a store and just walk around like I didn't even have to buy anything. I just needed to shift gears and get back into the balance of being feminine, not attached to anything, just walking around, not having to think or direct. And so it's helpful to know when you or your partner or your friend is in the masculine or feminine energy. It's just a reframe. The inner child. How many of you are in touch with your inner child? Okay, good. I know that I was not in touch with my inner child for a lot of years, and I did a lot of inner child work. That inner child is that part of us that's spontaneous, that's present in the moment, doesn't have a thinking about the past or the future. It's just in the moment. That inner child is sweet, it's loving, it's affectionate, it's playful, and inherently trusting. There is that part of us that we were born as these children, but what happens is we start to grow up, we become we're vulnerable too. We get hurt. And so as we start to grow up, we start to put a protection around us and keep that vulnerable self under lock and key, because we don't want to express it and then be made fun of or rejected or criticized for being that playful, silly by those that maybe are also stuck in their masculine or their feminine. But we have an inner child that just wants to play, and we have protected it, perhaps so much that it's kind of sitting in the closet waiting to come out and play. David Simon says, let's see, we'll go to the orange, yes. He says, Commit to your archetypal child to play. If your childhood history was one of neglect or trauma, you can actually heal that innocent part within you. So ask yourself, these are questions you can ask yourself now or today, later today, write them down. Ask yourself what makes you happy. How can you be more playful? What do you want to do even though it has no practical purpose? Oh, we have to be practical. No practical purpose other than to make you smile or awaken your enthusiasm. Okay? We're usually not so much in that playful. Some of us are more in touch and can be that. Make a list of things that you like to do and like to do as a kid, and take some time to do these on a regular basis. Some examples: take a dance class, or just dance regardless. As you're walking down the street, start to dance. Who cares what people think? Terry Cole Whitaker has a book, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. Be free to be silly and goofy. Some of you are really good at that. I'm seeing a few of you that love to giggle and laugh. Learn to play a musical instrument. Play it badly. Write poetry. Eat a hot fudge sundae. Go to a toy store. Who doesn't like to go to a toy store and push every single button that you can play with something? Buy a stuffed animal. Put it in your car and carry it with you. I have a giant-sized elephant in my office right now, a stuffed animal. Go to an amusement park. Just be free to be that little kid and honor that sweetness. We all need more of that. We get caught up in our world and our adultness. And I'm saying, let's play. I remember the day that we had play as a spiritual practice, and we had, I think, 57 airplanes flying in the sanctuary. That was a memorable day. Now, as for your inner adult, he talks about the hero. The part of us, and our adult, is always seeking to have a goal. We have goals, all kinds of goals, and there's often can be obstacles in the way of accomplishing our goals. So he talks about the inner hero, that we as adults are always having goals, that we need to overcome things and get things to work from our goals. They can be as simple as, I have a goal to go to the grocery store and not get hit by any of these speeding drivers in Santa Fe, right? What are your goals? And so he talks more, too, about the part of us that is caring and sweet, and to not forget to be loving and caring and kind. So he talks more about these Jungian archetypals, but I'm not going to go into that. I want to move into your inner sage, your wise one. And I really like how he puts this, so I'm going to share from the book. He says, there is a moment in every epic tale when the hero loses his way or encounters an obstacle that seems insurmountable. This is usually the cue for the wise sage to appear, providing inspiration and guidance. The wizard Merlin to young Arthur, Obi-Wan Kenobi to Luke Skywalker, Mr. Miyagi to the Karate Kid, Gandalf to Frodo are modern examples of the archetypal sage who lives within us all. The feminine side of the sage is the wise old woman. She appears as the compassionate grandmotherly being who's willing to use her special knowledge and power to make things right. She's the fairy godmother to Cinderella, the good witch of the north to Dorothy. In normal life, she may show up as the grandmother who always makes you feel better, or the teacher who says just the right things to motivate you. Your inner godmother carries the perfect blend of wisdom and compassion. I know I had a grandmother who was probably the only one in my entire family that got me. Grandma Dorothy. She got me. She wasn't trying to make me be something else. I mean, she's the one who buy me the Wolfie t-shirts, and she knew my spirit. So maybe you have someone like that in your life, some wise being, but we have it within. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes as we do a short meditation. Take several low, deep breaths. And envision yourself in a beautiful, sacred place. The air is pure. The sun is shining. A sense of purity and safety and peace pervades the environment. Now imagine your serene, wise being sitting before you beneath a majestic tree. Looking into his or her eyes, you feel unconditional love. Unconditional love and pure compassion. As you sit with your inner sage, now ask your inner sage for wisdom and an expanded perception on any issue you are facing in your life. And listen. What does your inner sage share with you? It's usually very simple. So you take whatever was shared, thanking your inner sage, and your inner sage says, "You're welcome, I'm here for you, anytime, all the time. You can meet with me." So you take a breath and you bring yourself back into this room, giving thanks for your connection to your inner sage, your godparent, so to speak. And so it is. So in completion, he says, honor your father and your mother. You have many, many dimensions to your being. Embracing the totality of what it means to be human enriches every aspect of life. Acknowledging the different expressions that we spoke of and even more of your masculine and feminine power unleashes an energy and a creativity. The wider and the more embracing we are of our different aspects, we integrate, we become balanced, we become more whole. And in our wholeness, bringing everything back together into one, and knowing that there's appreciation for the inner child, the masculine and feminine, you are going to experience more healthfulness because you are one with many dimensions. We serve the honor of our parents best by radiating kindness, compassion, love, and wisdom. Make the commitment to know and love your inner innocent child, your powerful adult, and your wise sage, as they comprise the amazingly complex being you are. Commit to your wholeness. It is your birthright. We are made in the image and likeness of the divine. The divine is infinite. We are infinite beings. And there's parts of us that perhaps we haven't even realized that we are being called to be. So open up your hearts, open up your minds to the magnificent infinite being that you came here to be in your wholeness and what and who you were called to be, because you're so much more than you know. And so it is. Bye.